In an African village where the inhabitants lived in harmony with nature under the wise rule of their king, hard times befell them. Envy and betrayal crept into the hearts of some nobles who could not accept the people love for their ruler. They decided to seize the throne, desiring power for themselves. One night, they secretly gathered and plotted their nefarious deed. As everyone slept, the conspirators burst into the king's bedroom, shocked and bewildered. The last words the king uttered before his death were, "Why?" At that moment, a servant hiding by the window became an unwitting witness to the scene. He immediately ran to alert the queen. Wasting no time, the queen grabbed her young son Amari and vanished into the night. By dawn, they reached a thicket, and from there, deepened into the forest, finding refuge by a river. Hearing the steps of pursuers, the queen made a decision that would change their destinies. She placed Amari on a raft that gently rocked on the river waters, laying beside him a golden emblem, a symbol of his rightful claim to the throne. With tears in her eyes, she whispered softly, "You will return to rule as your father did," and released the raft downstream. As the river carried the infant to safety, the queen continued her journey deeper into the forest. However, guards sent by the new rulers soon found and arrested her. The river gently carried baby Amari to a secret place by the sea, home to mermaids. Seeing the child on the raft, the mermaids were both surprised and intrigued. Asha, the eldest among them, carefully lifted Amari, who calmly slumbered on the raft. "Perhaps the sea has chosen him," mused Nia, another mermaid, observing the emblem next to the baby. The mermaids recognized the significance of this sign and saw that Amari's fate was closely intertwined with both their world and the land. They decided to grant him a special gift, the ability to breathe underwater and converse with sea creatures. "Now you belong to both the sea and the land," Asha said tenderly to Amari. The infant laughed in response, his laughter sounding joyful and curious. Meanwhile, back in the village, the new rulers proclaimed their victory, but their reign was marked by fear and cruelty. They worsened the lives of all the villagers, confining the queen to a dungeon and ruling through fear and repression. Meanwhile, in the ocean depths, Amari grew and learned from the mermaids. He swam as swiftly as dolphins, held wise conversations with ancient turtles, and deftly moved among corals sparkling under the moonlight. Over the years, Amari's interest in life beyond the sea only grew stronger. One day, while looking at the shore, he was captivated by Zori, a young woman who came to wash clothes by the river. Amari was instantly enchanted by her beauty and melodious voice, which he thought was the sweetest music he had ever heard. Day after day, Amari visited this secluded riverside spot to watch Zori from a distance as she went about her chores and sang. Her presence evoked in him new profound feelings, comparable to his love for the sea. Asha, who was like a mother to Amari, noticed changes in his behavior. His smile became more frequent without apparent reason, and his mood noticeably improved. Amari began to rush to the riverbank every day, which inevitably raised Asha's curiosity. One day, Asha decided to talk to him. "Amari, you seem different lately," she began gently, yet with noticeable concern. "It seems your heart has flown somewhere far away. Could there be something or someone special on your mind in the afternoons?" Amari hesitated for a moment, struck by Asha's insight, and nodded. "Yes, there is someone, a girl. She comes to wash clothes at the river. I can't take my eyes off her. Her voice and spirit draw me in." Asha smiled understandingly. "It's wonderful to experience such feelings, Amari. But you should also act on them. Why don't you talk to her? Share your feelings. Let her see what a wonderful young man you are." Amari seemed unsure, but Asha's words inspired him. "I will talk to her tomorrow," he promised. The next day, as Amari approached their usual meeting spot, hiding behind a tree and enjoying her singing, he gathered his courage to come out of hiding. But just as he was about to step towards Zori, a huge crocodile silently emerged from the water, moving directly towards the girl with clearly dangerous intentions. Driven by instinct and without hesitation, Amari rushed out of his hiding place and confronted the crocodile. He shouted loudly, "Return to the water! Do not dare attack her!" To his surprise, the crocodile, sensing an inexplicable influence, obediently nodded and slowly retreated back into the river. Zori was shocked, seeing a stranger emerge from behind a tree and scare off the crocodile with mere words. "Who are you, and how did you do that?" she asked, slightly frightened and very amazed. "My name is Amari," he replied, stepping closer but cautiously to not startle her. "I have been watching you from a distance. Your voice and spirit caught my attention. I couldn't let you come to harm." Zori, still impressed by the stranger's ability to command a crocodile, peered into Amari's eyes. In them, she saw sincerity and kindness that softened her initial shock. "You've been watching me. Why didn't you approach me sooner?" she asked, driven by curiosity. "I was afraid," Amari confessed. "Afraid that you would reject me, as I am not quite ordinary. I was raised by mermaids, but today, seeing you in danger, I realized I could no longer hide. I care about you." Zori listened, and her initial surprise gradually turned into fascination. "Raised by mermaids? That's incredible. And you care about me?" She was moved. "This is more than I could have imagined," Amari continued. "I understand if this seems strange to you, but I just could not protect you." Zori smiled, feeling surprise and warmth spread within her. "I don't think it's strange, more like extraordinary, and I am grateful that you were here today. I would like to learn more about you, Amari." Standing by the riverbank where their paths had so unexpectedly crossed, Amari and Zori began to converse deeply. Each day, their meetings by the river grew longer, filled with talks about life and dreams. One evening, Zori shared with Amari stories of her homeland, telling about the hard times following the murder of the true king and his family. She described how the people suffered from famine and tyranny, and how anyone who dared oppose the new regime risked being imprisoned. Amari listened, feeling a deep pain and a strong desire to help, but unsure how he could change the situation. That night, he returned home and shared with Asha everything he had learned from Zori about his people's suffering. It was then that Asha revealed a vital secret. "When we found you, you were with the king's emblem. You are the rightful heir to the throne. Everything that has happened was meant to prepare you for this moment, to reclaim your throne and free your people. We fully support you." Asha's words filled Amari with gratitude and resolve. He thanked Asha, who had been like a mother to him, and announced to the other mermaids his decision to leave at dawn to follow his destiny. "I love you all and will miss you, but you will always be my family," he said with tears in his eyes, bidding them farewell. The next day, he shared everything with Zori, revealing his true heritage and the responsibility that lay upon him. Zori was surprised, but also filled with joy and determination to support him. "I'll be by your side. Together we are stronger. You have your father's courage, and the ancient magic of the mermaids. Many warriors are already gathering in secret and ready to support your cause. I will introduce you to them," she said. Zori's words filled Amari with hope and confidence that he could change the fate of his people and restore justice to his homeland. They began to plan how to unite the forces of the secret warriors and lead a movement to restore lawful rule. Zori, standing by Amari's side with the support of his new allies, inspired him and the entire nation. Surrounded by symbols of hope and legitimate leadership, they dreamed of freedom and justice. When the decisive day arrived, Amari and his rebels stood against the usurpers, determined to reclaim their land. Armed with courage and sea wisdom, Amari led his followers' attack like an unstoppable wave. The battle was tense. Despite Amari's bravery, the overwhelming numbers of the enemy posed a threat of execution. At the critical moment, Amari called to the sea with a powerful cry that resonated across the land and reached the ocean depths. Dark clouds gathered above the battlefield, bringing a torrential rain that signaled the arrival of the mermaid's magical power. Under the protection of the magical rain, Amari broke free, and his power was unmatched. His strikes repelled the enemies, and soon the tide of the battle shifted dramatically. Mermaids and sea creatures, arriving with the magical rain, joined the fight, their presence intensifying the rain, allowing them to move freely on land. The mermaid songs sustained the storm, giving their earthly allies an undeniable advantage. The usurpers were powerless against this powerful unity, formed by the forces of land and sea. Amari and his allies won the victory, marking the beginning of a new era after a long battle. One of Amari's first tasks upon returning to the palace was to find his mother, who had been imprisoned by the usurpers but was still alive. When he finally found her holding the royal emblem, she recognized him instantly. Tears of joy streamed down her face as she embraced her son, saying, "I knew it. I always believed that our ancestors would protect you so you could return and claim your rightful throne." After this emotional reunion, Amari was crowned king. Zori stood by him as queen. Their reign was marked by wisdom, kindness, and a strong connection with both land and sea. The mermaids, now revered as allies and guardians of the kingdom, recognized their bay as a place where two worlds, land and sea, met in unity and understanding. The story of Amari, a prince raised by mermaids, teaches us that courage and compassion can overcome the greatest adversities. It shows that our differences are not barriers, but bridges that can connect us in unexpected and powerful ways, highlighting the value of diversity and cooperation in creating a fairer and more peaceful world.